Hello, hello. How's it going? Thank Godot it's Friday. Hey, Diginanigans. Hey, the Ant. Holding down YouTube. Hey, Sapphire. Rhiannon. Bye, Sapphire. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a happy new year. Last couple of days here. I had a good time. I didn't do anything New Year's Eve, but New Year's Day, my partner and I went and saw Zootopia 2, which was delightful. Yanigan's getting back into the swing of things. Yeah, I saw your post. That's great. Can't wait to see kind of stuff you get up to now that you're through the Q4 insanity. No worries. Take it easy, Sapphire. Stream streak secured. All right. So, I think the thing to do today is we're working on block priority for like placing blocks on top of other blocks. Nanigans, first day back at work after being off for 2 weeks. You only had 3 hours of work to get done today. Ooh, nice. Pending any last minute requests coming through in the next hour. Taking advantage of it and working through the game stuff. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the week between Christmas and New Year's is usually so quiet that even if you don't actually take it off, it's usually like a very, very chill time. All right. All right, so we reversed the z-axis yesterday, so now we're placing everything on the lowest level. And then we add onto it. Hey, over in Twitch. Hey, the Ant. Moving in stereo. So now we're kind of going for like kind of a 3D printing, like layer by layer approach. But the thing is, I'm having to manually manage my z-axis or my z index or whatever you want to call it, like my vertical level. Right now I'm doing it with the scroll wheel, but I would like it to be, I would like to take a different approach where we kind of, what is this song? Weird. Oh my lord. Rihanna Journey with the 40 stream streak. Incredible. I also maybe realized some of the exceptions I made for the corner outlines is going to not work once we start doing textures. A little concerned about that now that I think about it. But whatever. So what I want to do is I want to change it so we kind of like fake a raycast from the camera to the cursor and try to figure out what block is being hit. At a certain point, I'd like to even have per face recognition as far as like, eventually you probably want to be able to paint directly on the block faces, which would be neat, but I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm more interested in just getting a selection and like input method that works with that raycast. It might end up being in build mode. It's better to do it this way where we're just locked onto a specific Z index. But certainly while you're playing the game, you wouldn't want that. So I at least want to test that now. Full disclosure, this is probably going to be a relatively short stream. Probably like only a couple hours. I got started late. I've been kind of ill again. I've had a pretty rough winter in terms of just being sick all the time. I don't know why. It's pretty unusual for me, but you know. Hey, the Ant, you're going back to a previous project you started but never got far with. That's a great thing to do in the new year. Pick it back up. See how far you can get into it this time. I don't know if you're in the Discord, but if you are, I would love to see your progress on it. Shenanigans. Is there a change in behavior in how the different height tiles are treated now? It's I would say it's pretty significant. I don't think it's just visual. It's because, so instead of the old compound block, which, you know, consisted of a dedicated space for a floor plate as well as a dedicated space for an upper bulk. So like each block was potentially like an occupiable space. Now a block is literally just a block. It's just like, is the block here or not? So when we talk about occupiable spaces, those are going to be intuited from, like, we'll have to figure those out using the flood fill system. So it's going to be really interesting. So I actually think your movement through space now is going to be very different than how it would be before. How it would be before is it would be very clear to say like, oh, you occupy this block, and then you move over, and it's like, oh, now you occupy this block. But in the new system, I don't think we're going to think in those terms really at all. It's going to be a lot more about how characters themselves move through spaces and where the characters are. I think it'll be a little less locked into the grid. So I think it'll have a pretty big change behaviorally. Change is maybe the wrong word because obviously we haven't actually worked out most of this stuff. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It definitely is going to add a lot of emergent properties to the space, which are going to be complicated, but, you know, we'll figure it out. So what did we do? What are we doing now? So now we want to work on this cursor tile priority thing. Oh, I messed this up. Who is responsible for this? It's you. This one's wrong. Oh, that's the wrong layer. Is this my chill radio? This is like, I guess this is chill. I don't know what I expect. Oh, I didn't actually change the radio. I thought I did. There we go. I was like, this isn't normally what we're listening to. That was a silly mistake. Okay, wait, what? Curious to see where it all goes. Yeah, me too. It seemed logical when we were thinking about it, because all of the reasoning that we've been doing about the compartments has been based on the compartments. They've been based on like the rooms themselves, which in my mind made it so that we could probably move away from that strict grid-based system and probably be fine. Hey, the Ant, random Q. Do you know what Skylanders is? Appreciate it. Hey, Hoji Rick. Again, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. How's it going? Happy Friday. Thank Godot, it's Friday. Hey, the Ant, random question. Do you know what Skylanders is? Wasn't that like a Wasn't that like a collectible toy thing that had like a game tie-in or something like that? Shenanigans. Right now, you're just tossing together what minimal stuff you need to do in your map editor just to get simple maps made entirely of dirt blocks up and running and a save load system. That's good. That's a good approach. We're going to be moving on to the save load system pretty soon, I think. But yeah, what I'm thinking here is I'm thinking about if you start in this one corner, in this closed corner, and then you are looking for priority, obviously, as you scan through a space, this block, the block 1, would have highest priority if your cursor is around these blocks. And then if there's no block in block 1, in the spot for block 1, then we'd look at the block 2s, which is this block, and this block. If nothing's there, I mean, depending on where your cursor is, you wouldn't consider all of them, which is, I guess, an important point. We need to be able to split the space up. I can tell where within a tile someone is selecting. I should have an overlay, which is the actual tile substrate or something. Should think about that. Add the actual grid plays into that. But then, so obviously, if there's nothing in priority 2, you check priority 3. There's nothing in priority 3, you check priority 4. So you should only really ever have to check a handful of blocks here as you move through the space. The first game series in the Toys to Life genre, interesting. Yeah, I'm only aware of it insofar as Penny Arcade has made jokes about it. The game looks cool. Thank you, Hojirik. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for popping back in. I remember you yesterday, or maybe the day before. But yeah, so there's this underlying block tile grid that the input is getting mapped against. That matters now that I think about it. I wonder how I want to do this. But yeah, Nanigans. I think it's going to be, for me, it's going to be a lot about blocks. I think I'm going to need a way of thinking about and referring to multi-block spaces. Because I think that's going to be really what it comes down to a lot. Is like, what are the volumes or spaces that are open? It's going to be kind of annoying to track insofar as the spaces don't conform to like a simple bounding box, but like I think for a character to move through a space fully upright, at least a human character, they would need 3 empty spaces. I think that's what it'll be. So a character would need 3 empty spaces to move through upright walking. If there's only 2 spaces, maybe they can go into like a crouch animation, and then if there's only 1 space, maybe they can crawl through it. And that could lead to a bunch of different interesting pathing and movement where you got to choose. You're like, okay, do I try to go around this way, or do I like send someone to like crawl through the Jeffries tube to like try to get somewhere else? Like, I think there could be some really interesting stuff there. What we also need to do is re-enable the cutaway system. And that's part of why I want this raycast thing, so that my cursor normally is up here, just kind of chilling on the surface. And then if I scroll through, instead of scrolling down to the next level, what I want to do is I want to scroll through a list of hits for this raycast, right? So instead of scrolling just down 1 Z level, what it should do is it should scroll forward into the next block along the ray. Apologies, I just finished breakfast. I'm drinking a big old tea. Big mug of tea here. Just tasty. I needed tea this morning. Coffee wasn't going to do it. Hey, Arneo. Oh, neck and neck. Arneo with the 40 stream streak. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. Happy Friday. Thank Godot it's Friday. That's wild, Arneo. You and Rhiannon Journey both have a 40 stream streak, which is outrageous. That's about 2 months. 2 to 3. You're amazing. You're both amazing. But nobody needs to know life this stream, just to be clear. I appreciate anyone who's even has a few minutes to just hop in and say hi every once in a while. But if this is a nice place for you to hang out and work or whatever, that's great. I'm happy. It tells you need more IRL hobbies? Seriously. Seriously. Yeah, this year for me needs to be the year that I actually get back into like exercise and trying to take care of myself IRL. All right, what am I doing? We're thinking about how we want to scan through a surface. Something that complicates this in my mind, not in my mind, but, you know, something I'm thinking about, which definitely complicates this, is this idea of the first block. The way I want this set up is the first block should just be the origin of whatever the construction is. Right? So the origin can just travel around. And we can do that either by moving the tile map or, you know, whatever. We can figure it out. And then once you place a block, this is now the origin of a new block space. So it's the farthest back corner, which is how it then makes sense that we can just kind of build off of that block. Right? We need to understand how we're going to think through figuring out what block we're talking about. There's going to be a single tile map layer that is like matching the input or mapping the input. You know what might be better than what I'm describing here is to have the origin locked into the middle like this at first. So like maybe at first, maybe this block thing shouldn't follow you around. Maybe when you start a new construction, there should just be a tile in the center or like a hollow for a tile, or maybe as you move the cursor around, it just shows a tile in the middle. Like maybe we should lock the origin at first until you place at least one block. And so imagine this is just locked in the center regardless of what the cursor is doing. And then if you place it, I wonder if the center should just do the closest or do what actually is over. Arneo, you think this is what Besiege does? It starts you off with the block and creates the boundaries around that. Yeah, I'm thinking that's more what I want to do. Because I wouldn't mind if the origin started wherever you clicked. But the problem is that means we also need to have this input tile map layer that's just moving around constantly. But yeah, I think starting you at this origin, and then if you want to, you know, move the origin back by like building this way, that's fine. The system could adapt to that and move the tile map back to handle that. We'll need a system for like migrating the block data around the space. Or will we? No, we will. We will. Or will we? No, I don't know. You're not sure if you can remove the center block in Besiege, but you probably wouldn't need to anyway. No. Because, well, here you could move or remove the center block. And that's why we need to have that block validity system. Because let's say I've built this. Because I'm going to require you to place blocks contiguously, which is why this raycast thing is going to work. Because you can only really place blocks as an extension off of other blocks. Like, you can't just have free-floating structures. But the thing is, if I allow you to erase stuff, then you could erase your way to free-floating structures. So I could erase the joints between these structures, and now I have 3 free-floating structures. That's why we'll eventually need, like, a block validation tool that can check for issues like this. Like, it would almost be like a kind of flood fill, where, like, you pick an occupied block at random and you try to reach every other block, and if you can't, then there's a validity problem. So I guess you start at the origin and try to reach every other block, and any block you can't reach is invalid. That'll work. Until you, and then so yeah, they'll be invalid unless you reconnect them, right? I'm just having fun. Don't mind me. I'm feeling a little unfocused. I could probably have just fallen asleep instead of streamed. But we're doing it. Origin is removed just to find the closest block as the new origin. That's essentially what it's going to do, is as you add up, it's going to find the furthest back block, and it'll just make that the origin. And it will always do that. So yeah, because we need to be able to support expanding behind and below the origin, even though the origin always needs to be the furthest back coordinate. Hey, no, Jewel, how's it going? Maximum warp. Thank Godot, it's Friday. Yada, yada, yada. How's it going? Thick lines. Yeah, the thick lines are nice. They don't overlap. The outlines don't overlap anymore, which is really nice. So we're not going to have any weird issues of a tile needing to cast backwards to like cover the tile behind it, or for like you know, weird conflicts of like when you're doing the normal mapping and stuff where you're like, how do these perpendicular surfaces meet? So yeah, the extra thick outline is nice. I think we added that. And the blocks are a lot smaller now, too. I'm pretty happy with it. See, this is the problem with the whole not having the cast. I'm like on the wrong height level for there. Yeah, we're adding a ray cast for the input. Or we're starting to, at least. Oh, we've got a spam bot. Stand by. Loading the photon torpedoes. Targeting ship systems. Fire. Blasted. You know, phasers are too good for spam bots, Arneo. We photon torpedo.
He's dead, Jim.
We photon torpedo in this house. He is dead, Jim. All right, so there's two approaches to this. All right, I want to add something on here. I want to add like this would be like an input grid. Bots got blasted, yeah. Do not suffer a bot to live. All right, what is the... I need to look at the actual tile map layer deal. I think we have a slight complication when trying to do this, which is the empty pixel. If I do this and I just start drawing these, what do we get? That's all right. Where's the empty pixel? It's actually below. That's different than I thought. Okay. It's important to know. So yeah, there's going to be one tile map layer that is the tile map layer that the input is going to get cast against. And it kind of makes sense for that layer to be the either the top or the bottom. I think it kind of makes sense for it to be the bottom. Because if you'll remember, we flipped the z-axis. So the z-axis faces up now. It used to face down. Because we used to think of the bridge being at the top, and then everything else we'd advance down. We'd count down. The enemy's gate is down. But we're flipping it and we're doing it up. So we're flipping it to be z-axis up. Get a right-handed coordinate system back. So we're right-handed with Z up, like Blender or whatever. And we're doing that because we're using diamond down isometric, so the X and the Y shouldn't change. If we were just doing regular 3D, we'd do this differently, but you'll remember this isn't 3D, this is 2D. How was your New Year's? No Jewel? Or anyone I haven't been able to talk to. 2026. It's our year. I don't know what for yet, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do something. I mean, you're a minor celebrity now, No Jewel. I wish I was on the cover of the Node Letter magazine, you know? We're gonna be the most productive we've ever been. Exactly. Exactly. But remember, sometimes that means going slow. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. All right, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm deciding where to anchor the input tile map layer. And is it actually going to travel? Slow and steady wins the race. Exactly, exactly. Anyone who's studied Xeno knows that once that turtle has a lead, Achilles can never catch up. Slow and steady really wins the race, the Ant. It's really true. Anytime someone comments or hops in for the first time here, they're always like, wow, hundreds of episodes. How did you do it? And I'm like, I just kept doing it. Even on days when I really didn't want to. I just kept doing it. That's what you do. Persistence. All right, so what am I using for mapping the inputs right now? I think right now, you know, should this itself be a tile map layer? That's not a half bad idea. Christopher Nolan's Odyssey comes out this year. All you have to do is release the game around the same time for extra promotion. I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Christopher Nolan's Odyssey film. I'm not the kind of person who will complain about like the anachronistic nature of it. I'm not the kind of people, because we know, generally speaking, the kind of armor and armaments and everything that were used during that period. But, you know, sometimes you just, it's the rule of cool. Always triumphs. You're looking forward to the new Lego Batman game? Oh, yeah. Is Lego Batman still voiced by Will Arnett? Like in the Lego movie? Arneo, you're glad he's making a straightforward epic story instead of more overly complicated sci-fi. Oh, what? You didn't like Tenet? Or Interstellar? I like Tenet. Interstellar, I'm more mixed on, but aside from the audio mix, Tenet is really good. Only problem with Tenet is you can't hear what anyone is ever saying. You liked Interstellar, you didn't hate Tenet. You didn't like it either. Fair. I believe the voice actor will be Shai Matheson. Okay. No, that's fine. It doesn't need to be Will Arnett. I just remember him from the Lego movie. And I was like, there's no way they're still paying him to do this. You know what had tons of cameos? That Zootopia 2. It was wild. The craziest one I read at the end was that Bob Tiger was played by Bob Iger, and I died. I died in my seat. That was the funniest thing in the world to me. Bob Tiger, played by Bob Iger. Who's the CEO of Disney? Just to be clear. Yeah. That's wild. It was good. I don't remember almost any of it now, just a day later, but me and my girlfriend were just smiling. The whole theater was laughing. The energy was so good. It was so good. It's incredible that you could have such a good time watching such a forgettable film. So I have almost no memory of anything that occurred, but it was so delightful. It was so delightful. I'm like beaming just thinking about it. You've sent your progress on the project in the Discord. I will check that out. I'm very excited. All right, so what I think we're going to do is we're going to actually turn the game board into a tile map layer itself, as I think what we're going to do here. Although, that does create a positional offset, which is maybe okay. Yeah, that's what we're going to do here. And we'll use this to map the inputs. That should be fine. This needs to say extends tile map layer. The solo developer, the next solo developer jam starts today. I'm sad that I can't do it. I don't think we're going to do a game jam until the spring. Which one? The solo development one. Practical NPCs. Hey, Nix. It's the same jam as the last one we did, the Halloween jam, where I made the Grave Escape. That was fun. I think our next one is going to be Down to Jam in early March, and then probably Ludum Dare in early April. Preemptive drink? Oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah. This is tea, by the way. I made a big old tea right before I went live here. How's it going, Nix? All right, so I don't think I need to track these block layers anymore. If I'm going to just refer to... So what we use here, though, is we use a level index. Because we need to provide an offset. There is an offset. Where do we get the block layers from at the moment? Nick's catching back up with the 7-stream streak. One of these times you'll Pavlov me into drinking every time you see Nick show up. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. I know I had yesterday off, but I am so ready for the weekend. I'm so tired. It's probably just being sick. Although I got to build some computers this weekend. I've had the parts sitting in my kitchen for 2 weeks. I enjoy doing it. Hey, Mr. Mago. What's up with you? Happy New Year. I hope you didn't lose your stream streak. Why is there a warning here? These are shadowing variables. Oh, in a base class? Oh, that's a problem. Are there others getting shadowed? Yes, there is. What does the base min function do for a tile map layer? Weird. All right, well, that changes my plan a little bit. You didn't get any notifications last stream? Rude. I swear I posted. Yeah, we had someone come in and talking about Linux. And I was like, where's Magoo? All right, so if we're only doing the surface, then what we need to do is we need to compensate every time, every check that we do. So that means we're actually going to start searching from the maximum point. Or something like that. Maybe we should search backwards from an endpoint. I actually think it makes more sense to search from the bottom up when doing this. You got the Stanley Parable on the 28th? Oh, nice. You already have 17.2 hours on it? Wow, impressive. Someone get you a video conference with the Linux guy? Funny. After I install these new Windows machines to replace my old ones, my old backups, I am going to turn one of them into a Linux box, and then I'm sure I'll be bothering you about how that works. How is LaDave? Dave's good. A bit sick. I've been kind of under the weather pretty consistently ever since Thanksgiving. I was getting better, and then a few days ago, I just started getting sick again. I don't know what's going on. It's not too bad, though. Just kind of one of those lingering colds that just doesn't go away. It comes back. All right. I don't quite understand how I'm going to do this. I can tell where within the tile we're selecting, insofar as I know what the I know what the actual coordinates are, I think. Let me see. Let me actually see how I record this. So the tile mapping, which is this. I have to rewrite this. I could actually remove these intermediates, huh? I could just say this. So we get the local coordinates, sure. Then what do we do? Then we get the local to map. Get rid of this block layers stuff. Thanks, Magoo. Magoo, you learned Middle English, Old English, and Middle Scots pronunciation. You sung Freebird in Middle English and on Melancholy Hill in Middle Scots. That is wild. You're still learning the Rickroll in Old English. Okay, so you just read Beowulf for fun, huh? Chaucer. I see what you did there, Ant. That was good. So what I'm getting out of this... What are we expecting? Invalid operands for minus operator. Really? Okay, that fixes that problem. This one can be fixed pretty easily, I think. 'Twas brillig in the in the slithy toves did gyre and gimble upon the waves. All right. Weird class conflicts here done, sorted out. All right, so we've made this a tile map layer, so it's going to be our basis. I do need to transform it a bit, though, which might have unintended consequences. But maybe it won't, actually. And in fact, maybe I could actually move this. That's a good question. It's probably not a good idea to do it this way, actually. Now that I'm doing it, I have some second thoughts. Maybe not, though. Maybe it's fine. I'm thinking of all the consequences that I'm going to have if I provide a transform offset for this and then child a bunch of stuff to it. Learning IPA pronunciation is good, for sure. My partner studies languages a lot, and she's helped me understand how just horrible and broken and mutilated the English language is, and just how difficult it is for a non-native speaker to understand how it works, especially pronunciation, because we don't use any kind of markings to help tell what the pronunciations are, and none of the rules for pronunciation are actually ironclad. It's like kind of insane when you think about it. All right. So if we have this represents the bottom of the grid. Actually, how does this relate? How does this one's tile map layer? You learned English to a pretty good degree very young. Hungarian is far from English. Yeah, the fact that you were pretty young probably helped. There are so many implicit rules for things like ordering of adjectives. Yeah, and that was totally went over my head until someone actually showed me that, and I was like, wow, yeah, that's right. Huh. Yeah, that's the uncanny valley of English or any language, is there's this uncanny valley of tiny unwritten rules that as soon as you violate one, you out yourself as a non-native speaker. Which is fine. There's a Daniel Thrasher video where a Roman consul said VVI. I can't even, I'm not going to try. I don't understand how the double I works at the end of Latin words. Triarii. That's how they'd say it in a Rome Total War, and so that's how I say it. Triarii. It's Roman numerals. Oh, 6, 7. Okay, yeah, I should have gotten that, you monster. All right. So the complication here is the offset. The vertical offset means we have to take that into consideration between these different layers. We already do that when we're doing input mapping, and it's easy to do when you're locked in, but it is a lot harder to do in this context. What is your offset? Minus 16, minus 4. That should be a constant written here. Can I do that? Will you let me do that? I see what you're doing there, Mr. Magoo. You're playing Freebird. That's pretty good. I've heard a couple of those where people have like a medieval take on like some pop song. Some of them are pretty funny. Y'all's keyboards are more interesting than mine. I can't write a bunch of these characters. So if I map the input like this and it's at the bottom, the initial origin character is also at the bottom, then all we really have to do is check to see if there's anything between that bottom and the camera. And that's where the input will land. Okay, I think this is doable, and I think I do need to offset this. Oh, Lord. Oh, that doesn't have a position. So your offset is actually going to be 304. 72. So this is nonsense. All right, I'm concerned about some of this now. Is that the camera? That's fine. So I actually think this, I need to remove the offset from the this here. Oh no, you got hit with the ads. I'm sorry, A. We are in ads. Hold on to your ads, people. All right, so I need to assign this a tile set. I don't know why I have these all assigned twice here. I don't love that. Create a new tile set. Doesn't need to have anything in the tile set. It just needs to be isometric. It needs to be diamond down. And it needs to be of size 32 by 8. I think... Oh, did I... Is this too high up? Is this supposed to be -4, not -8? There we go. I don't totally understand why the origin tile in a tile map layer isn't over the actual origin, like the transform origin. I don't understand why those aren't the same thing. I'm sure there's a good reason for that, but I don't know what it is. So it kind of annoys me. You wish you knew accents, Arneo. Your pronunciation's pretty good, and sometimes without thinking, you copy accents from TV, but you can't do them intentionally. It's fun when you read written accents, like Danny Boyle, or there's some people that do this, that write this way, where they write the accent into the written text. It's fun to read. It can be hard to read, but it's funny when you see a character who's like been written in Scottish or something, and you get to read the accent. I'm not going to do any accents, so don't worry. You want to study accents, though? Look at Fred Armistead. Fred Armisen, sorry. I always get his name wrong. Fred Armisen. Fred Armisen has a ton of accents. He can do most accents. I've seen him do a, like, tour all 50 states kind of accent. It's fun. All right, we're back. We're back from ads. All right. So this is going to be the map layer for the origin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to advance up through the block space towards the camera. And we're going to build, like, the equivalent of, like, a collision hit array as we go. And then we can pop stuff off. We can pop elements off the array as we scroll through it, essentially. I mean, we're just going to index into it, but that's what it's going to feel like. I mean, it's kind of more like popping off because we're going to be going from the back forward. All right, this should work okay. Probably some other considerations to make. Well, we're going to want to stop using the layers at a certain point. I mean, if you've ever seen Sean Connery in The Hunt for Red October, you'll know that a Scottish accent and a Russian accent are the same. Random Journey, you're terrible with accents, but in another life, some friends and you did a podcast about Fringe. One of the recurring pre-show segments was you trying to read poetry in accents given to you by stream or by friends while getting audio dialed in. That sounds fun. Sounds silly. All right, so problem here is that this is tied to the level index. We don't want to do it that way. Mr. Magoo with the Raid Master. All right, Magoo. I'll ask you when we're close to the raid, which will probably be in a little less than an hour here. Oh, CA2 software again? All right. I know they're going to be live, so that's fine. We'll do it. I'm going to try to add some more channel point reward stuff soon. It might also mean I rebalance the price of some stuff. We'll see. He was great fun in the holidays. He streams like, he seems to stream virtually all day, every day. I don't know how he does it. All right, we're going to stop doing the pan viewer thing. So the idea... So I think the idea is that... Oh, this is going to crash. Set border boundaries. Vector 3i. Why didn't that work? Actually, not sure why that didn't work. You've seen his whole family there while he streams? He's a lovely guy. Yeah, that's great. All right. Object reference not set. Oh, we lost the reference somehow. Weird. Only because I changed the type. Very strange. Shenanigans, you're making a lazy fix for smoothing out your UI feedback grid on your map editor, where it shows where you're about to place erase blocks, etc. Nice. We love a good lazy fix. Until it comes back later and requires, you know, days of effort to work around or solve. At a 100-point reward that just subtracts 1 from a counter starting at 100. The person who makes the counter hit 0 gets something. That's a fun idea. Rhiannon Journey, you finally got your collisions and terrain bits drawn for your tile set. That is never fun. So good job getting done with that. Okay, so we're gonna cast from the back forward. How are we gonna handle stuff like this though? There's some aspects of this that I realize are problematic. I might not actually want this other input system to work in edit mode. I might want to retain this input system in edit mode. Because I'm thinking about, like, well, how do you build a block behind the block that you're currently... Like, you couldn't do this with the new input system. I might save the new input system for play mode, if I'm being super honest. And I might retain something like this for edit mode. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I can kind of see an argument to do it both ways. Shenanigans, current implementation keeps adding and removing grid map cells each frame if your cursor moved cells to indicate which cell you are acting on. Proper fix would have proper joined mesh and move that. I see. Instead, you're just placing everything at 0, 0, 0 on the grid and lerping the offset of the entire grid over a couple frames. Interesting. All right, what do I want to do about this? You know, I guess it's actually not a problem if you couldn't select around the back because you could just rotate the board. That's a good point. Yeah, all right, let's carry on with this. Look, I don't know whether Steve Jobs was evil or not, but we can all agree that the Woz is an angel. He's like the patron saint of San Jose, which is where I'm from. So, say what you will about that Steve Jobs, but if it were up to Woz, we would all be living in a better world. Steve Woz is the Woz is Steve Wozniak, by the way. But I also haven't had an Apple device in so long. So long. Like, I think I might have had like an iPhone 3 or something like that. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you want to be part of the Apple ecosystem, it's all of your devices. Or it becomes such a pain. All right, so what am I doing here? So we're going to need some kind of system that does this. So what are we going to call this? We call it like the cursor casting system or something like that. Steve from Minecraft. Well, Woz is no CEO, but I understand Arneo. I get the sentiment. Yeah. Yeah, one should be suspicious. Yeah, I got into a typical like friendly, holiday family argument. And at one point I was like, yeah, I'm gonna not say it. Apart from Gabe Newell. Gabe, companies, CEOs of privately owned companies are a different beast. They get to really be little tyrants. And sometimes the tyranny is good, like Gabe, and sometimes it's really bad. But yeah, Gaben, all hail Gaben. I am excited for the Gabe Cube. The Gabe Cube, aside from being hilarious, is gonna be great. All right, what do I need to do to actually implement this here? All right, who's gonna run this? Oh, it's my favorite song. So I'm not gonna add a delta if we don't use it. Gabe is the patron saint of computing. You're gonna head out? Yeah, have a good one, Diginanigans. Enjoy the side project stuff. All right, so how do we spin up this? I don't want to run it as part of the block editor system group. I feel like it should run later or before. Probably before. So how are we going to orchestrate that? Main system. Guess we'll add it. We'll register it. Public static. I don't know if I should require that all systems be run within a system group, or if we are allowed to have like orphaned systems that run themselves. Should I call this the cursor raycast system instead of cursor casting? I don't know, whatever. Who cares? It's not actually raycasting, so fair enough. I think we'll probably just run it by itself. But what do we need to know? We need to know the input. I think we call it tile mapping. Give me the, there we go. What are you imploring me for? Casting is a different term. Yeah. I think it's fine. But yeah. I could call it the cursor mapping system. Keep it like this for now. So we have the cursor bounds on the cursor chords, but what I actually want to know is this thing we call tile mapping here. So I'll probably change the name of that. And that's a vector 4. It gives us two things. It gives us the actual tile map coordinates. That's the XY, and then the ZW is the offset within those coordinates, which is good to know in the case of a tiebreaker. So that's actually something I wanted to look at before I got distracted. So I wanted to think about that. How the mapping of the grid affects this stuff. So like, well, let's use this color. So if I drew out the grid here, oh, and I would draw it out on the bottom, not on the top even. That's a good point. So let's assume this is in line with the, let's actually go down to priority 4. Let's draw from here. So we're going to assume that this is the origin. So if this is the origin, oh, that's the other thing. Do we want the grid to line up with the top or the bottom of the tile? Right now, it's lined up with the top of the tile, which I can show you. So like if we go in here and we go to draw a tile, you'll see this is the tile that I have mapped. You'll see that this gets drawn underneath. You could think of it as being underneath the tile. And I'm not sure if that's actually what I want with this new system. I don't think that's what I want. What is the consequence here of one or the other? So if we do map it to this, so if we like, if the grid is mapped like this, which looks like what I would want, then it would also be like this. There it is. That's the one I was thinking of. The what phrasing? The song you were just singing. That was the one I was thinking of. In terms of the songs that I've heard silly medieval versions of. Wait, this isn't right. Oh no, maybe it is. Let's see. Why isn't this? Why can't I figure this out? Why am I just having a hard time? There we go. Okay. So if we map this like this, and we do map it above, I don't know if I love that idea. I kind of want it to be below, so like it maps to the bottom of it. But that's maybe not good, because that means if your cursor is off here, it might not get picked up. Like you would need the input to be offset behind even this. I wonder. Maybe it wouldn't matter. I wonder what's better. I know this is deeply boring. Sorry, I'm starting to lose focus. Hopefully everyone's having a nice Friday. Oh no. Red alert. Raid alert. Hide the code. Lana Lux is raiding with a party of 295 lovely individuals. Oh my lord. I'm not ready. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, Lana and company. How's everything going? How's the stream? How's 2026 treating you? This is Digital Iliad. We are working on an FTL-like game in Godot. Stream is good. 2026 is going well. Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you. You as well. Yeah, it's only up from here, right? Oh, you beat scurvy. It's good to avoid scurvy when possible. Yeah, I'm working on an isometric 2D FTL-like game. As in like a little kind of starship management kind of game. We've been working on tools a lot. Tools heavy development. I can show you the tool we're working on now. Hopefully it doesn't crash. But we have a block editor tool that we're working on a lot. We made a bunch of changes to it recently. We're kind of reinventing it as almost like a little 3D printer kind of tool. But thank you for the raid, Lana. If you got to run, no worries. Understand. So it's kind of become this little layer-based little 3D printer thing. I'm working on a new input model for it so that we can kind of do a fake raycast. Because this is all tile maps. None of this is really 3D. It's using an auto tiler to look at the blocks around it and then figure out what it should draw. You know? What I'm looking at doing right now, I'm using the scroll wheel to control what Z level I'm on. I want to do a different system. I want to do like a raycast. So you can raycast to a surface and then build off the surface. So that's what I was diagramming out rather poorly when you hopped in. But yeah, this is going to let us build our little spaceships, you know? That's the idea, at least. Thank you. Thank you for the follow, Victor Talon. Appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate the raid, Lana. Yeah, this is our little project in Godot. If you saw the code, you'd probably realize I'm doing this in C#. You can do Godot in C# for all you fellow Unity refugees. But yeah, this is kind of the idea of this little editor. I'll be able to build up layer by layer these little rooms, which will compose the spaceship. And the new model of this makes it very flexible. Can make a little doorway here. If anyone new here follows Dave, he has to read out every name. I do it. That's what I do. Thank you, JGA HW777. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, this is kind of what we're working on. Just tools development. Eventually, you know, if we do enough tools development, we'll be able to hit the make game button, right? That's the dream, right? You just keep working on the tools long enough to be able to hit that make game button. We've got like selection and masking systems. The auto tiler, it was a lot of work. The auto tiler was a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie. Turns out there aren't a lot of arbitrary auto tilers that can take in like that can reference an arbitrary set of neighbors. You were told this would be a hot tub stream? Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint. Thank you, XO. Sincerely, verisimila dude. I love your username. Thank you for the follow. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you, Lebo. Well, thank you, Raiders. Thanks for hanging out here. Thanks for the raid again, Lana. We do this. This is what I do normally during the day. We do game jams. I think that's the last time I saw Lana was maybe the Ludum Dare, Spring Ludum Dare last year. Just coming around again already. But yeah, I make on other games. There's an itch link on my page. I got a few little games in there. Latest game I have on there. DigitalIliad.itch.io. Latest game we did on there was a cute little Halloween game. Thank you, Doddle. Thank you for the follow. I do little pixel art games. Mostly. Sometimes I like doing 3D. Like our last game was a 3D game. This was the last one we did. It was a reverse farming game about tending to a graveyard. Little black and white little game about using your tools to tend to a graveyard to keep the residents of the graveyard happy. I got to do this for the solo dev jam, which is actually starting today. The next solo development jam is starting today, which is exciting. But yeah, this is fun stuff. Normally I do my own pixel art. Like my last little pixel art game, which we did in September, was Bear Necessities, which is a cute little storybook game about a bear and his necessities. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff we do. I love doing pixel art. I never got into it until recently, but I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, this is a little game about a little bear who comes out of his cabin every year after hibernating to snack and hang out. I'm getting more into cozy games. I want to make more cozy games. This was my last little... Well, the Grave Escape game was my last cozy game, but I want to do more of these. I drew this little guy and animated him. He's very slow, so this game isn't very fun to play, but this is the kind of stuff we work on here, if you like it. If you like Godot, if you like pixel art, if you like just kind of hanging out, having a good time. I stream 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, so we'll be back tomorrow. Probably be wrapping up here relatively soon, but we got some time. And then we'll rate it forward when we do. So yeah, thanks again hanging out. Appreciate it. I know you got a lot of options. This is Bernard, our little bear. But yeah, looking forward to doing more game jams this year. Each year I've done one more game jam than the year before, and I want to keep that going. Eventually I'll hit the ceiling on that, but I would like to keep it going. He's getting his little berries. Yeah, sometimes, aren't you? Yeah, some games on the itch. There's a few more on there. Yeah, this is my day-to-day. I like doing those 3-day weekend jams, seeing what we can do in 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours or whatever. But during the day, we work on this, our FTL-like made in Godot. Have a bit of tea. I try not to spill the tea because there's a lot of electronics. Yeah, what we're going to do now is I'm thinking about... I'm asking a very stupid question, which is, should these block objects under this new input model, it's like kind of a raycast model. So if we put a block together here, does it make more sense if the block extends down from the tile mapping? So like this block corresponds here, or should it extend up? Like, should this correspond to the floor or the ceiling? And I'm not quite sure. Because you could do it this way, but you could also do it, you know, the other way. So you could either have this be anchored to this tile, or you could have it be anchored to this tile. And I can see arguments for doing both. I think it actually makes more sense to have it be anchored to the bottom. If we're going to be going from the way back forward, I think if we were scanning from the front back, the other might make more sense. Magoo, now I've gone and done it. Maybe that was addressed to Arneo. Yeah, I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's better on underneath. The difference, I was diagramming that out a little bit when the raid happened, and I panicked. But I'm thinking, so we got this. You know what I could do? I could probably make this layer a little opaque. That's kind of disorienting, huh? So if we do it this way, though... What system cares about this? The cutaway system or the validation or both? This would just be the input system. So this would be the system that figures out where the mouse cursor, what surface the mouse cursor is relative to. So like what we currently have set up is it's locked. So right now we start locked to the lowest. I call it the Z level or Z index or whatever because it's the same thing in my mind. It's like, it's the ordering of the tile map layers for drawing them because they're 2D, right? So we're locked into layer 0 right now, which now is the bottom layer because you remember we flipped the Z and the Z axis. Z is now up instead of down. So now if I scroll up, now we're locked to Z level 1. And so now I can draw in Z level 1 as much as I want. And everything I do is locked to 1. Then I can go up again and lock everything to Z level 2. And all I really want to do is change it so that instead of locking to the Z level, it's like relative to what's already here. So right now, if I'm locked to Z level 0 and I scroll over here, I can't ever select this wall. But if we had another system, I could conceivably select the wall. If I had a system that kind of faked a raycast through the 3D block space. And then what the scroll wheel could do instead is it could, instead of changing our Z level lock, it would move us to the next surface in the array of collisions, an array of like collision hits. We'd build like an array of hits the way you would do with like a raycast. So I'm building up this room, right? And it does relate to the cutaway system, but the cutaway system won't know that this is happening. All it's gonna get is like, here's the block that I'm pointed at. Here's where the cursor is. So this system just needs to tell us where the cursor is. So if I seal this room, the cutaway system we need to be able to see into it. And so the cutaway system, when I scroll over, we'd scroll over this surface because this is the outer surface and this is where the cursor would hit by default. But then if I scroll in, what it should do is it should scroll to the next surface that we can hit, which would be the floor inside this room. And that's when the cutaway system kicks in and removes these walls and ceiling, which we have a cutaway system, Raiders. We have a bunch of complicated systems. We just did a big refactor, so they don't all work right now. And I'm thinking about setting up this new input first because it's going to matter. I guess it doesn't really matter to the cutaway system, but which one we use. But for me, I want to try the new input before we restore some of those systems. All right, so if I continue to tessellate this, it will look like this. Happy New Year. Hey, pandas. Happy New Year. How's life? Is this the right number of... Is this how this works when I tessellate it? I guess it does. Oh yeah, because they slot in like that. How's it going? All right, so here's the grid as it currently is, which it's locked to the top of the tile or block, as it were. Life's good. You're just waiting around. Right. I think I'm going to move this to the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it underneath. So I think this should be underneath like this. I think that's how it should be. So I guess let's make that change. What are we working on today? We're working on having a new input model so that we can do like a raycast. So we can figure out if our cursor is over this block, we need to figure out if there's any blocks in front of it. And then that way you can kind of fake the way that we do it. Normally you would, in a 3D game, you would do a raycast from the camera onto whatever surface, and whatever surface you hit first, that's like where your cursor is. We're going to fake something like that. All right, so what I need to do then, first thing we need to do is we need to change the offsets of all of these. Because we need to move the offsets up. So that, because right now if I place a block here, it's underneath this layer. And I think it actually needs to be sitting on top of it. I think. That's what I think. I can't think of a compelling reason why you would want the opposite. Yeah, let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up, we're going to go into the tile set here. And we're going to change the offsets for all of these. That's a good way to start. All right, so I think all that means is changing this from -6 to... Was it even more than -6 now? No, it's 2. It'd be 2 now, right? I think so. This should be pretty easy to change. We don't have a lot of tile sets yet. We'll have a lot more soon. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm ready for the weekend. I'll tell you that. We will be streaming tomorrow, though. Stream Tuesday through Saturday around this time. Should this be 8 then? No, this needs to be... Well, let's see. We'll try it. Arneo, you concur. Albeit with around 45% comprehension of what's actually going on. That's good for me. I think if anyone actually understood what I was doing, they'd be like, why are you doing it this way? I take advantage of the fact that nobody's really paying a lot of attention to what I'm doing. All right, there we go. So now the block is now anchored to the layer above it, which is what we want. Or it's like there's a surface and now you're placing a block on top of that surface. Instead of before the block was sitting below the surface. I think this will be a lot more in line with what we're trying to do. Let me try a few tessellations and see if it actually works. It's a little weird, but I think it's cool. It's weird when you're placing them individually like this, but once you start placing them together in groups, I think it makes a lot more sense. So like we place more of these like here and here. And now when you look at this, looks fine. Hey, JD. What's up?
Your logic was impeccable, Captain.
Happy New Year's. How's it going? You as well. How's game? Game's okay. Making some big changes. Experiencing non-linear progress. And by that, I don't mean exponential progress. I mean, you know, something else. Okay, so now it sits above, which doesn't feel great. Actually, that feels pretty good. Even already. It feels like I'm placing a block on top of where the cursor is, which I think is the feel that you want. So already this is nice. It's not as good for selecting a block. Like you'll see here, you can see instantly when I'm on the ground floor the failure of this system. The way it's written with the z-index lock of just like we're on layer 0, now we're on layer 1. Like, it's great when you're placing blocks like this. Zaytanim, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. Like, it feels good here when we're placing blocks on a surface, which is kind of how it will work.
Illogical.
I'm an illogical kind of guy. I've always considered myself more of a Bones than a Spock. Not that I'm a doctor. I'm an engineer, not a doctor. Damn it, Jim. I'm ruled by my passions. I'm a passionate guy, not a logical guy. But yeah, it's good for this, which is what it's going to be for. This is going to be kind of how it feels as you move the cursor around, I think. Okay, so that feels right. What doesn't feel good is when you're down here, like when you're in selection mode. And you can see the problem because it's tied to like the surface. It's tied to its bottom face, which you can't see. But it's great like this. I think this will be good. We've just got to switch over. Appreciate all the hearts over on the YouTube. Whoever's dropping those. But yeah. It's going to be cool. We're going to be able to like make rooms again and compartments. When we get the cutaway system working again, this is going to be good stuff. It's going to be real nice.
Maximum warp.
How's the tile builder going? It's going good. It's going good, Hoji Rick. We're working our way towards changing the input to be from this like z-index locking. Like I scroll from layer to layer to we're switching to like a system where I'm like faking a raycast into the system into the scene. I think that's gonna work real great. JD, you recently went through all the TOS movies. Oh, that's good fun most of the time. I like them all. I know people always say, you know, the only good ones are the even numbered ones. But each odd numbered one has something about it that is a redeeming factor. Motion picture is good. The odd numbered ones are good. I like them. I like the Search for Spock. Christopher Lloyd is the Klingon. All Klingons owe everything to just the insanity of Christopher Lloyd's performance. You love The Voyage Home. You're not a huge fan of The Final Frontier, but you don't hate it. Yeah, those old scientists, exactly. Yeah, The Final Frontier is bad, but it's not, you know, excommunicado levels of bad. It's just regular bad. It's just under budget. Bill Shatner was not maybe the right director. I love that Bill Shatner got to direct that movie because the contract that he had with Paramount said that he was entitled to equal treatment to whatever Nimoy got. So Nimoy got to direct one, and he was like, "I get to direct one now," and they were like, "Oh my god." Cybok could have been such a good villain in any other story. Yeah, Cybok is very cool. They've been teasing Cybok in some of the other franchises that feature Spock, and I'm just like, you better do them right. Yeah, that's awesome. I recently got the Next Generation, complete Next Generation restored on Blu-ray, and I've been watching it through in linear order, and that has been a trip. The remaster is beautiful. It looks like it was shot yesterday. Super cool. All right, I think that's all the productivity that I'm gonna get today. I think it's time to pay this raid forward to keep this raid train going. Where's CA2? I don't think CA2 is live right now. I might have to redeem your channel point reward. Oh yeah, there he is. Did you go to the theaters when they did the Best of Both Worlds 20th anniversary? Oh, I wish I had. That sounds amazing. Yeah, that sounds like that would have been a good time. All right, I found him. CA2 is live. All right, we're going to raid into a very small streamer who does very long streams. He's a really nice guy, a member of my chat. I have a channel redeem that lets you direct the raid. So today's raid master is Mr. Magoo. Mr. Magoo said we're going to be raiding CA2 software, so that's where we're going to go. So be nice, be curious. Thanks again, Lana, for the raid. Today was a good stream. Thank you, raiders, for hanging out. Yeah, CA2 software has been alive for 21.5 hours. I'm sure they're tired, but they are a champ. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow. Hey, Darren Ash. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for hopping in here at the end. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their Friday here. Yeah. Hopefully I'll see you this weekend. If not, have a great weekend. Thank you, Raiders, for hanging out. Thank you, all the followers. You've been here for a while. You leave me on a second monitor while you're
Maximum
running. That's what I'm here for. I'm a second monitor kind of guy. I don't demand your full attention. But yeah, if this is a place where you feel like you like to hang out and work alongside me, that's what I'm going for. That makes me feel happy. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.